Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks, Sr., your host, and this is Community Focus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding guest this morning, Miss Kimberly Hudson. She's a home baker from Conyers, Georgia. Good morning, Kimberly.
Good morning, Dr. Brooks.
We're very excited to have you on the program. As a matter of fact, we live in a global society. Reverend Dr. Gray, we got in contact with each other several years ago, and he's been a great friend. And he said, Dr. Brooks, I have an outstanding person I'd like for you to interview. And she's very passionate, and she loves what she's doing, and she has a lot to contribute. So I thought I would give you a call, and I'm happy that you were receptive, towards the invitation. Kimberly, Lake County is approximately 750,000 people, but I don't know how many up this Sunday morning listening to the program, but there's quite a few in the audience that are up. As a matter of fact, a former mayor told me that he gets up on Sunday morning, he's shaving, and he listens to the program. So I'm sure we have people with different reasons, that are up this early in the morning. But tell us a little bit about Kimberly, a little bit about your personal background.
First of all, good morning to your audience. Second of all, Dr. Sinclair Gray, whom I call Honey, is my fiance, and he is my biggest champion. So he champions me. He supports me in everything I do, and he loves my cakes, and he wants the best for me. So he puts me out there and said, "Don't be nervous. Just get out there, and you can do this. You have this. You can do it." So I have to give my kudos and my love to my honey, Dr. Sinclair Gray, because he is precious to me. So with that being said, I am a home baker.
Okay.
As you say, I guess I could say right now I'm a hobbyist. I'm in the process of beginning my business. I've been baking for quite a while. I started off baking with my mom as a child, as many bakers probably have started young. I mean, I have a passion for baking and cooking. One thing my mom made me learn when I was a child, and as a preteen and teenager, I was thinking, why are you making me do this? This is just so. I'm not going to have to do this. I'm going to, be single. I'm going to be a businesswoman. I'm not going to have to do this. But I'm grateful that she did make me learn, and in the process, I learned to love it. So that's how I started baking. I'm originally from Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
And I grew up in Buffalo, New York, went to school there, and then I left to work for one of the major airlines. And it's been almost 26 years now, so that's what I've been doing. And baking is something that I have been doing on the side, and decided that I'd like to, venture out and do it as a business as well.
Well, tell me this. When you graduated from high school, did you have any intentions of baking or working for the airlines?
No, actually, as a young African American girl, I guess as being a flight attendant, that's one of the things. I think back then they may have called it stewardess, but it's been called flight attendant for maybe 30 years now or more. You always thought you had to be, a model or an actress or beautiful to be a flight attendant. So no, that wasn't something that I thought I would be. But just one day I saw an ad in the paper, and I said, well, why not just apply and see what happens. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. But I went to college for fashion merchandising.
Oh.
And I got a bachelor's in fashion merchandising. And my intent was to, go into retail, maybe buying or just in that field. And what happened, I ended up being a flight attendant, and that became my life. Where not my life so much, but my occupation, mm-hmm. where I was able to see much of the world. And that's where I've been ever since.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're talking with Kimberly Hudson. She's a home baker from Conyers, Georgia. And we felt that she is a person that you should know. We mentioned that this is a global society. And actually, when you uh, uh, graduate from high school. At least I know it's what happened with me. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know my mother said you have to go to college, and then you'll decide what you want to do there. So that's what happened to me. So where is Conyers, Georgia?
Conyers, Georgia is just east of Atlanta. It's in the metropolitan Atlanta area.
Okay. Now from Buffalo, New York, how did you get to Georgia?
Well, I when I when I left for the airlines, I was based in New York for a while, and then after New York, I was married previously, but now divorced.
Okay.
I ended up in New Orleans area, and then after Hurricane Katrina, I relocated to Georgia.
This is truly a global society. We have to be prepared to be mobile, right? I think mobility is really the reason for a lot of people successful, right? You have to be mobile.
Absolutely. Well, but even if you're not mobile, I mean, now you have the internet, so there are a lot of shopping and a lot of things you could do through the internet if you're not mobile. But mobility does allow you to see much of the world. It gets you exposed to other areas, other ideas, other cultures. So it's great to be mobile.
Well, let's get to the the text here. Why do you love bacon?
It's a fulfillment of adding the ingredients together and watching them, bake into a dessert, and then the gratification of, those who eat it. It's just a gratification. It's the whole process of having your fresh ingredients and putting them together and hoping and praying that they come out right. And then when they do come out right and beautiful, and then the gratification. So all of those put together, that's what, I put love into it, because those are the processes that I love to see happen.
I know my wife cooks peach cobbler, and there's no other cobbler like my wife's peach cobbler. And everyone wants to get the recipe, but she doesn't have a recipe. I don't know. I guess a little bit of this and a little bit of that or whatever. I don't know, but it comes out right. And there's no other peach cobbler in Lake County like my wife's peach cobbler. Well, what about your baking? You say your company is called Desserts with Love.
That's what I call it.
It sounds like a key to your success, though.
It is a key to my success. Well, and hopefully that'll remain so. I love it. It's a passion. I love baking and I love cooking. I love experimenting with different recipes and different ingredients. So that's something that I love. So I think that's what helps with your success. If you love it, if you're just doing it for the money, which is great, money is great. But if you have a passion for it, I think that's going to make it a lot more enjoyable.
Reverend Gray states that you're talented and you have a heart of gold.
Again, he is a champion. He is my champion. He is my supporter. He's a precious man. So, yeah, he would say that.
Well, tell us that you say you've been baking for how long now? That's after high school or before high school?
No, well, pretty at home. I was baking. I was watching my mom do a lot of baking, and I think I really didn't do more baking until I took a few Wilton classes. I guess a lot of folks may be familiar with Wilton, but Wilton has cake decorating classes, and that was something I was always interested in. During college, I was working at a grocery store bakery for a while, and I wasn't doing the baking or decorating at that time. But if customers needed a cake, if they needed something inscribed, I was doing the inscriptions. But later on, after that, a few years later, I said, I would like to learn how to decorate as well. So I did learn how to decorate. That's when I was living in New Orleans at the time. and I started baking for friends and family, and it just kind of evolved like that. It never was, a legitimate business, but it was just like a gig on the side. Friends and family heard, oh, we can make a cake for my wedding. We can make a cake for my birthday, anniversaries, and that type of thing. So that's how I started baking and decorating. This was years ago.
Well, tell us about the criteria of any successful occupation, really, or profession is a person that has you have to have a passion for the trade, I know, but what are some of the other criteria you have to be a successful, baker?
Other criteria, I guess, would be practice. You have to practice your craft, and what I call my lab, or my love lab. You get into the lab and just practice,
okay,
and try different things and try different ingredients. Like I learned, but I can say I learned baking from my mom, but I particularly remember my great grandmother when I was smaller. My great grandmother used to make the most delicious pound cakes, and when you walk into her house, you can smell the flavors. You can smell the lemon that she may have used, the vanilla flavor, and just the warmth and the comfort of the pound cake. And I think she loved it. She loved making the pound cake. She loved making her sweets, and they were always beautiful and always very delicious. So that's some of the things that I remember. But one of the things that would make you successful is practice. Mm-hmm. You may be able to, bake your cake and have your ingredients and your measurements in your head, mm-hmm. or if it's something you've never made before, you can use your recipe and try to implement some other instructions or get another recipe. It's all practice. You have to practice because you may not make something right the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that you can't do it. It means, just practice, try it again, try a different recipe. It's all chemistry. So, some ingredients may not work for certain recipes.
Mm-hmm. I mentioned previously about my wife's peach cobbler, but what's unique about your baking?
I won't say it's unique because there are so many great bakers out there. There's a lot of home bakers. There's a lot of folks who bake commercially.
Yeah.
I think what would make it unique, a home baker, I guess, would be if you're doing scratch or if you're doing a box cake, which either is fine. There's not one better than the other. I think with a home baker, your ingredients are going to be fresher. You're not going to have the long shelf life. So for me, I think to eat it immediately is best. But if you're going to buy a commercial cake or something from, a big box store, those things have been baked months ago. They came out of a freezer. Mm-hmm. Not that anything's wrong with that, but the difference between a home baker and a commercial cake, per se, a commercial cake may not be as fresh. It may not be as immediate as a home baker. If you say I need a pound cake from me, if you need it for Friday, okay, then I'm going to make it Thursday. But if you need a cake from one of the commercial store, that cake may have been made, 3 months ago.
Okay. Well, when a person choosing a baker, then what should a person look for?
Oh, that's probably a trial and error also. But I think most of all, look for someone who has passion, and also look for someone who has a track record, possibly references that would help. Or if it's someone referred to you by a friend, mm-hmm. if you trust that friend, or if you trust that family member or your coworker, then you may very well trust that person as well. But that's also going to be a trial and error.
Right. Well, now, do you have a staff of employees, or are you just a single person?
I'm just single right now, and like I said, I'm in the process of a business right now. It's still hobbyist. It's still word of mouth, friends and family. But my desire is to create it. Is to be a licensed operator.
Since you're unique with your baking, I guess it would be difficult to train other employees to bake like you bake, since you have a passion for it. Other people may not have that passion.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm not in the process of looking for an employee at the moment, but I guess it would be the same. It would be the same as if you're, learning from home. Again, you'd have to have a camaraderie with that person if you're training, or they also have to have some experience. And I don't necessarily. I guess it would help to have passion, but skill is also something that's very important. Passion is one thing. You can have passion for something and not be very good at it,
Right,
or you
right.
can, you can not have passion but be very skilled. So it's just one of those, things that may have to go hand in hand. One may not complement the other.
This is fantastic. What you're doing, because most of our businesses in the country is based on small businesses professions.
Absolutely.
Well, in going into business though, from individual, you have to have a business plan. Have you ever gone that far to think about having a business plan, or you just got a personal plan?
I have a personal plan. I have taken classes at SBA on how to do a business plan.
Okay.
But business plans are I think they're required for if you're looking for a business loan at a bank.
Okay.
Right now, what I do is it's just personally funded. So I really don't need a business plan per se, but a personal plan I would have written out.
And also
for now.
Right. And also, like you mentioned about the business plan, a location is important. But I think you mentioned that you just use your home.
Right. This is home. In many states, there's what you call cottage food laws, where you can operate, you can have non-hazardous food produced in your home.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. There's a process involved, and that's what I'm doing the studying and in the process of having that done. Have a cottage food law license to operate. Like I said, right now it's just for friends and family. It's not really business. It's not really not for profit at the moment.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, because the next question I was going to ask you was, how do you market, your product?
Yeah, right now it's word of mouth,
which is one of the best, I guess. Too. Yeah, right. This is fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, an exciting person that you're listening to this morning is Kimberly Hudson. Is in a unique profession of her passion, and also she's a home baker, not a commercial baker, and she loves what she's doing, and it's really exciting for her, and it's exciting for the people that cater to her product there. She operates out of her home. We mentioned how important location is, and we just want to know about marketing, and she word of mouth. Now, I was going to ask you about funding too required, but you don't seek any funding, right? Because you're, like I say, you're self-employed, right?
Right. I'm not seeking funding at the moment.
Okay.
Right. It's pretty much. I mean, I have set money aside for when I need ingredients. I'm not doing large volumes at the moment or anything like that. So it's not something I have not ventured out to look for funding or anything like that yet.
Okay. I know one of your role models, you have mentioned Dr. Reverend Sinclair Gray, but what are some of your other role models in your life? Yeah. Like
I say, one of the people that I remember and I reference in my life right now is a little bit more as my great grandmother. Her name was Athie Moses, and I just recall. Like I said, I did mention about her baking, but not only that. As I get older, I realize I look back on some of my my older relatives, and she was someone who was devout Christian. She was a very sweet lady, from what I know. Like I said, I wouldn't have known very much
Yeah.
of her. She was my great-grandmother when I was born. But what I do recall is that she never had a harsh word or spoke badly of anyone. The most she would say, well, bless their heart, or, shake her head or something. But she never spoke badly. And I remember her being kind, and that's just the great-grandmother that I saw. So I look at her and I think of her as I get older of absolutely not having any drama in my life. I don't care for drama. I don't want strife. Even though we're living in a world that's pretty kind of toxic at times, but just as a personal growth, I look at her and my mom, who also passed away, Barbara Hudson. She was someone also who didn't really have a harsh things to say to people. She was very loving. So I try to look at folks who have maturity and are just willing to have a productive life.
And you mentioned, you may have covered this, but I'd like for you to mention, when anyone is choosing a baker, what should a person look for?
Look for references and talk to the person. See if you have. It's all chemistry, I think. Even when it comes to baking and when it comes to choosing your baker, if you have good communication with that person, and a lot of times, especially with most people, there's a feeling you may get from a person. Okay. So if you're, and that's also chemistry as well. If you're looking for a baker to, bake something for your grand wedding or any type of celebration, there's a chemistry. If you're not really feeling that person's personality, you might not want to use that person. Not that they're bad. It's just that it's not going to work for you. So I think it's best, you can get references, but try to talk with the person and see, if you can have a good business relationship with one another. That might be something, to look for.
Well, who is your target customer?
Well, right now, my specialty, I'm going to just specialize on pound cakes, because there are so many sweets and so many cakes and decorations and things that, I know how to do, and some things I probably could practice, but I'm not interested in being everything to everybody.
Okay.
So I'm going to stick with my first love, which is, pound cakes. And if there's something else someone might need, if they, want a red velvet or a German chocolate cake, something like that, I'll think about it. But right now I'm just going to specialize in pound cakes. So anyone who loves that good home comfort food of a pound cake, then they're my customer.
Well, now, how do people get in contact with you? Are you online, or you have a website?
I have a website, like I said, but right now I'm just doing things locally here in the Atlanta area.
In other words, you're just doing things that you love.
Yes, exactly.
Right. Well, we want to know how do you reach out and impact the lives of other people?
Well, I'm not quite sure about that. I don't think that's something I have to look into. As far as outside of my occupation, I have a full-time job as well. So the baking is not all that I do. Okay. It's not really. I can't really be available to everyone because of my job. It's not like I have 9 to 5. I'm a flight attendant, so I am in and out. So I have to weigh out, what projects I can and cannot take on. So that's why I really, can't say, oh, yes, I'm going to do this for you, and then say, oh, well, I can't. I have to go to work. So it's just scheduling is something that I have to keep in mind.
Now, being a flight attendant is something that you love, too. Like you say, you've been, about 15 years?
No, it'll be 26 years in October.
26 years. Wow. So that's something else that you have a passion for.
Oh, well, I won't say, I won't say passion, but I will say that, I've had the opportunity to see much of the world by doing what I do. Excuse me, please.
Uh-huh.
Yes, the time is flew by really fast.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. But with my job, it is my job. That's how I pay my bills. That's how I eat.
Right.
And the years have gone by really fast. And it's it's a flexible job. It's not a typical job at all. So, but with that, I've been able to, see Paris and, Hong Kong and Tokyo and places like that. So I've been very fortunate.
Tell us about young people coming out of high school that may be interested in becoming a flight attendant. What's unique about the preparation that they should do before, if they want to get into the field?
There's really no prep. I guess if the airline is hiring, you just apply. And it's been so many years since I interviewed. It'll be 26 years. So I'm sure things have changed since then, because back then, they would fly you to, wherever your interview is. But now what I understand, they do, video and telephone interviews, and they may bring you in. I really don't know what the process is, but I think if they're hiring, apply. They're going to tell you, and if you're qualified, they'll let you know if you're qualified. There's really no preparation for it. It just depends on what they're asking for. What the airlines is looking for at the time, because a lot of times they may be looking only for folks who speak certain languages.
Okay. Well, where do you see yourself, or where do you see your business, I should say, in the next 5 to 10 years?
Hopefully, in the next 5 to 10 years, I can actually make money by doing what I love, and actually be able, even if I don't. I have no intentions of leaving my job, but because of flexibility, I may be able to do that less and stay home and bake a little bit more. So the next 5 to 10 years, I can see myself actually possibly even having a storefront. That would be nice too, a coffee shop. Those are some of the things that have gone through my mind. But there's probably something like the business plan that you say I should have. I should just write out that business plan and look forward to and actually progress towards those dreams. Because I would love to have a coffee shop, dessert shop.
This is fantastic. Well, Kimberly, I want to thank you again very much for taking time from your busy schedule to be with us on Community Focus. You have been very enlightening to our listening audience. Like I say, we have a population of about 750,000 people. And I have been energized, from the dialogue that you have given us from Conyers, Georgia, to talk about something that you are passionate about, and you may get other people interested also. Please give my regards to your fiance.
I sure will.
Reverend Dr. Gray, St. Clair Gray, and we have to thank him very much. So we want to thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. We've been talking with Kimberly Hudson, and we hope that you have enjoyed the dialogue again.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. This has been Community Focus. My name is Dr. Wardell Brooks, Sr., your host.